That's wonderful. That's amazing. My hair is all gross because it's been cold and I've been wearing my hat all day, and uh, it's just disgusting. So I will leave my hat on so nobody feels like vomiting. So, how do you guys feel that you've done? Oh wow, we've got 4 people here. That's amazing.
Bree's with me. Bree
Oh,
Shriver.
yeah, it doesn't count though. She doesn't have her own.
My
I'm
phone's
kidding.
dead.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
It's. Let's see. Okay, I just got to find some paper to write it down on because I honestly expected one person to show up. Okay, Megan, Leah, Jessica, Kendall, and what's your last initial, Bree?
S.
S. Okay. One thing I did want to mention is that a couple of people have turned in their final projects where there's a final project write up where it's a reflection on it, and then there's a final project where you actually have to submit a photo. And a couple of people submitted their notes and a description rather than the actual photo under that. So if you get a score that doesn't look like it's what you thought you were going to get, just read my notes and resubmit if you need to. And this is worth 8 extra credit points to everybody who's here today, except for me. I don't get any. How many of you have taken the final already for this class? One person? Okay. I wanted to talk about a couple things, mostly so that you feel a little bit of pain to justify the extra credit points. But I'm sorry, I have OCD and there was something wrong about the balance on either side of my computer. But I also wanted to hope to get some feedback from y'all about the class so I can make it better for next term. One thing that I've gotten a little bit on is, and I say a little bit because out of 50 students, one person wrote and said something, which was they're stressing about the time needed to do stuff in the class. Does anybody know what the university standard is for classes like this for weekly workload?
Isn't it like 3 hours per credit?
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's per week, not per semester. So you should be, and that's for a B. So for a B, you should be expecting to work 9 hours per week on a 3 credit hour class. And if you're really good, sometimes you can do that, get an A with that. And what I've seen in this class, most of the classes that I've taught, the time put on into something in an art field is entirely reflective of the grade. Have you guys noticed that at all for this class and other classes too? I noticed that when people take the time to proofread their annotated bibliography or, uh, excuse me, do a nice job editing and putting together their um, PowerPoint, it shows in the final product, and you always get you almost always get a better grade. Unless the teacher just really does not like you, then the more time does equal better quality of work, and that's true for most things. All the state universities have adopted a particular textbook for introduction to art classes, and although we did not use that, I was using that as a model for the different exercises and things that we were doing. So the projects that we did, I tried to do them with stuff that most everybody has already in their own home, and to keep the cost down as much as possible. I think the statewide average for this class is $125 a semester, and from what I've heard back from students, we've been able to get it 50, 65, $70. So right around half of the statewide average, which I really appreciate. And I think that I've been hearing that the biggest expense so far has been the glue and yarn, just because you go through a lot of glue for those yarn lamp things. So I may be changing that project out. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you we don't have to buy the textbook. The textbook to buy it is pretty expensive, but we can rent it, and you might even be able to find it on Facebook. Do you think that that would be appropriate for future students if we to actually require the textbook?
I think the class is good without the textbook.
Okay, because I'm glad to hear you say that, because I was trying to find alternative sources for the same information, and there's one element that I did not cover that I think I want to bring in for the next term, which is we talked about the elements of art, but we didn't talk about the principles of design, and I think those are really important too. So I think that um, instead of dragging out the elements of art, I may condense those a bit and make it so that you use like 3 of the 7 on one project and 4 of the 7 on another project, instead of trying to do projects for pretty much every element, and then move to principles of design and do the same type of thing. What do you think about that?
I like that.
Okay. The other the other issue I was thinking about was the work log is something that I wanted to do to kind of get a gauge on how much time people actually spent on the stuff. And again, that really helps me to be aware, because if I can see that a project may not be turning out, but the person has spent a lot of time on it, it does help me quite a bit. But also, I think it's important for you to understand what the value of your own time is as well. And one student said that it really helped them plan things out. They knew how much to spend on the during their week on the assignments. And the options are, I think, to keep the work logs as they are, which I don't want to do. Get rid of it altogether, which I really don't want to do. Or the third option is, every one of the modules has some sort of a reflection writing associated with it. And maybe I should just put the work log kind of thing into the submission for the actual project itself, or in one of those reflections. What do you guys think? Was the work log valuable at all? Leah says yes. Can't tell what Jessica and Casey are saying.
I think it did help like plan like for the projects we did.
Okay, so you did find it valuable. What it kind of bothers me is that it feels like it's a busy work to make it its own assignment. So what do you think about rolling that into the submission for the actual project? Okay.
I think it's better to not have it as its own assignment.
Okay. I appreciate that, because I think what I'll do is either have it so people, when you submit the assignment in Canvas, you can also put a comment in the comments box there. Maybe I'll either have you do that, or have the person submit the assignment in a PDF with that included in it. But yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's a good idea. What assignments, out of all the assignments that you did, what were the what was the one that you liked the most, and what was the one that you hated the most?
The one I
I,
oh
go
sorry.
ahead.
I think the one I disliked the most was the creating your own ink one.
All right. Anybody else? Which other ones did people hate?
I don't know about hate, but I enjoyed researching and doing the PowerPoint presentation on one of the different artists.
Oh, cool. I'm really glad you said that because it was fascinating to me to see. It was fascinating for me to see what was valuable to different people when they did their research. And one thing I really liked was, I don't know if you guys noticed, but so a few of the artists, people would, more than one person would do them, research them, and it was kind of fun to see that different perspective. On, like, I think two or three people did Jeff Koons, for example. A couple people did James Turrell, but it was kind of fun to see two different people, completely different people, do a report on the same artist and walk away with two completely different sets of information and viewpoints. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm glad you like that. Anybody else? What was the one that you hated the most, and what was the one that you liked the most? Did anybody like the make your own ink?
I think I liked that one the most and I hated it the most at the same time because it took forever, but at the end it was like cool to see.
Well, that's really cool. One of the things that I like to do is learn about making my own media when I do something. So I've learned I don't use them all the time, but I've learned to make my own pastels. For example, I've learned to make my own pigments for paint, watercolor, and oil. And I've learned to do a lot of those things myself. And doing that, I think, is fascinating because it really helps you to appreciate what people do to get that medium ready to work with. And, like, for example, I don't know if you knew this, but there's a particular shade of yellow that is now illegal internationally because the only way to get it is from the crystallized urine of cattle that's fed exclusively on mango leaves. And mango leaves are not something that cattle can properly digest. So their entire adult lives, they have stomach aches. And that's one of the reasons why that particular pigment is now illegal. But just finding out stuff like that is kind of cool, and it helps me appreciate. But I'm glad that at least one person enjoyed the making the ink, even though it was a pain in the neck. What was another hated most and liked most project? Doesn't have to be the same one.
Personally, I didn't enjoy the outdoor art one.
Oh, the outdoor art one? That's cool. Somebody else said that they really love that because they just made it a family outing. So I'm glad you like that. That's great. How about you, Leah?
I mean, I liked the string lamps, but the only thing is it was very time consuming and messy. It just took a long time to dry and make.
Okay. I think that's another thing that I've been hearing quite a bit. I'm thinking I'm going to try to find something else to do instead of the string lamps. Because there were a few people that were really struggling because they would pop the balloon before the string had completely finished drying, and then it ruins the whole thing. But yeah, okay, that's a good note. So we're saying no to having a textbook. That's something that is required for the class, right? Just using it as a reference.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. I was trying really hard to get everything I could so that it's available free online so that you wouldn't have to dump a whole bunch of money into this course, because for a lot of people this is the last thing you need to do to graduate and you'll probably never come back to it. And that was one of the reasons, that was the main reason I didn't want to use a textbook. So if you guys don't feel like future students would be heartbroken for not having access to a textbook, then that's all. I won't use it. All right, excellent. Is there any other feedback you guys can give me about what might make this class better for other students? Because it's too late for you guys. You guys just have to live with the misery that you've endured for the rest of your life. But at least your pain can help somebody in the future.
I have something to add, but it's not necessarily something I feel like needs to be changed. But I really did appreciate that that it was kind of a go at your own pace. Like there were assignments due, but yet they could be done, whenever we were able to. Because, like you've said in the past, we're online students for a reason. So I appreciated that they could be done at any time.
All right, great. I really am grateful for that too, because there were a couple of students that were stressing out about the due dates. And I think that every one of the videos that is recorded on the YouTube channel, we've said the due dates are there just to keep you on track, because I don't want you guys stressing out. It's stressful enough just going to school and living a life too. So I thank you very much for that feedback. That really helps quite a bit.
I just wanted to say I second that feedback. Like, as athletes and everything, it was really nice to be able to do it at our own pace and whenever we could.
All right, good. Excellent. That's wonderful to hear. Excuse me, I'm having a hard time talking tonight because as it gets later and the air gets drier, I've been coughing more and more. Do any of you have questions about um, the last couple assignments, or can you think of questions that other students might have about the last couple assignments?
I just have a quick question. So I have yet to submit my sketchbooks. I understand that we just need to submit pictures, but there are 35. Are you wanting those just as a PDF? How exactly do you want me to submit 35 sketches?
Well, excuse me, several people have taken the photos and just put it all together in either a Word doc or a PDF, and I think that's the best. A couple of people put all the photos up, and that just makes it so Canvas goes crazy. So if you can take those photos, um, I don't know what the term is called, where you crunch them to get less memory, and then just put it in one document. That would really help, and that would make it a lot easier on Canvas. One thing I've told several people is that HEIC files and Google type files, Canvas will react to them, but it's iffy. It depends a lot on what your computer is doing, or what type of computer you have too. So if you can avoid those two types of files, that really helps a lot. So that's the HEIC photo file, and anything Google. Canvas, I don't know. The stars have to be in the proper alignment for all that stuff to work out. So in all that rambling, Jessica, did that answer your question?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, excellent. I've been really happy to see what people are coming up with for their final project. It's been really fascinating to me because I really see the evidence of your critical thinking skills and your awareness of the elements of art and those visual cues that help identify something as coming from a particular art period. In this case, the Old Mali Empire. And I had no idea how this would work out, because usually for an assignment like this, I like to have it in a classroom so we can have face-to-face discussion. But I have been really impressed. For the most part, people's projects have not sucked, and that's great. I used to tell people, um, throw it away and start over. But after the fourth person started crying when I said that, I've changed it to, yes, it doesn't suck. All right. Does anybody have any further questions or observations? If not, then I think we're pretty good. This is a pretty short meeting, but what I have 6 people in attendance. If you want to look at your screen and make sure that that's about it, 6 people plus me. Everybody will get the 8 points of extra credit for this. And one thing I have been staying on top of grading this entire week. If you submit something and I have not graded it after a day or so, would you please drop me an email and remind me? Then I can go back and make sure that I get it done. All right. And I'm seeing people whose grades were like low C's and D's, that as they're turning stuff in towards the end of the semester, those grades are steadily and surely climbing into the high B and A range. And that's really exciting to see people get rewarded for the work that they do. So thank you very much. Any last questions for me?
Actually, yeah. For the final, I know earlier you said to like email it to you, but it's an assignment now, right? Like
Right.
we can
And
turn
that's
it
a really
in.
good question. I only want you to submit it once. A couple of people have both emailed me and submitted the assignment. If you email it to me, just when you submit the assignment, just write, I emailed this, and that's it. So you don't have to copy and paste or do anything like that. But I did not know if Canvas was going to be accessible to you this week, and it should be accessible all the way until Friday at midnight. All right, and I would recommend highly that if there's another few assignments that you still need to work on, copy out the information from Canvas for that before you continue. And then that way, even if Canvas does shut down, you're still able to turn in the assignment by emailing it to me directly. All right, are we good? Excellent. Thank you so much for being part of my class this semester. If you guys enjoyed it half as much as I did, you had a pretty good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
All right, well, Merry Christmas to you too. We'll see you guys.